can do.
How's your grandson doing?
He's doing good. He's like nothing happened now. You know, he's up running and just a normal 20-month-old. So he's good for, you know, about 6-7 more months, and then they gotta get ready for another surgery.
And that goes on for how long?
He'll have one a year until he's 10 or 11, whenever they see the growth thing slowing down, and then one every other year after that, till he's in his 20s, whenever the
Stops growing.
I mean, and, you know, it's not just orthoscopic. This is major back surgery.
And I was going to ask you if it was full-blown surgery.
Yeah, that incision is this long in a baby, so imagine what's going to be as an adult.
Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy.
Don't let me hold you all up.
They want to have while
You're kind.
we call the Hamblen County Legislative Body Committee meetings to order for this April 14th, 2025. I'll ask all commissioners to turn your mics on. We'll get down to business. Starting with our Finance Committee.
Justice.
Which class? The Justice Center Public Safety Committee, Chairman Tim Horner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address may do so at this time. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing none. Item 3A, old business, none. Item 4A, Justice Center project update, Jaron Dowater, Burwell.
Good evening.
Dean?
Got some pictures. I got to scroll through it, right? Give a quick update on where we're at construction-wise. We're seeing some equipment being delivered. Here's your kitchen equipment. These pictures don't do it justice. I say this every time. I wish we could see a little better with all of these, but this is standing, looking out at the south gate. Here you can see the razor wire in place. Here's a day room, a rec room, just kind of showing an idea of what that is, this going out into that space. And to show just a little bit of the crow's nest. I'm not sure if anybody's seen that prior, but that's where they'll be observing the jails through that, all the way around there. There's an inside picture of the day room, showing some of the different cells that are there. That's a double bunk space, an ADA space. One of the courtrooms, another one of the courtrooms there. We're still not closed up on ceilings. There's inspections and testing and things that need to take place prior to that. We are cleared with all of the local municipalities, but the architect is reviewing and everything that's up in there to make sure we're good before we close everything up. Yes,
Yes, sir. You have 3 doors there. Do you know where they?
These here?
Yes, sir.
It's access for inmates.
Okay, that one.
Yes, they'll be bringing them in through those doors. There's access to get back out through there. There's holding cells, I believe, on either side. But it's a secure area in there.
So are they, when they come in, they're sitting on the interior of that glass?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Huh.
right about. I think that would be their space there.
And the attorneys are, so they're right behind the attorneys?
They're right.
With.
Well, if they're brought out, I think they're with the attorneys. in that room. Yeah, they sit
They'll
next to
sit,
them.
your attorneys and
Okay, thank you.
just showing some of the landscaping that's being finalized. It's in seed and strad. A majority of it's been done. Some of the rain slowed us down a little bit there. And this will be a little bit of a discussion we have here in a moment on our constructive change directive that we're looking to present tonight. And again, this is the, I guess that'd be the west side. This would be the south side out here, but seed and straw throughout. The McNabb Center's off to the right. Oops. Can we get that back on? I'm sorry, I went too far. We're starting to see more HVAC testing. Balancing is taking place in some of the areas. Rough-in is still, electrical rough-in is still going on. Everything is following behind that. Security, communications, everything else is following behind that in the different pods or different levels. We are testing the radio system booster this coming Wednesday morning, just to give you guys an idea of some of the things that are taking place. Contract value right now is sitting at $95,038,489.11. From their last pay application that's being reviewed now, it is tracking at 98.55% complete with $93,659,194.11 in place. Any questions before I go on to the construction change directive that's being presented? So with this constructive change directive, let me get to that photo here. There was a concern by us, by the county, that this was a little steep in this area. It's on the west side of your main entrance. And it could be considered kind of a fall hazard, possibly. It continues on to the complete right over here, where there's a lower parking lot that they might just billy goat on up and through all the landscaping that's in there. So we've put forward this constructive change directive to get some railing or a small fence all the way along this edge here to help prevent any issues that we may foresee on that. Again, we're doing this as a constructive change directive so we can track actual costs and not slow down the contractor. This close to the end of the project, we don't want to be the holdup for any reason with them on this project. So we are presenting it as a $20,000. We did the best we could to identify what those costs would look like and then added some into that budget so that we don't exceed, but it was pushed through very quickly on our end to get it in before this board today. So that's why we're tracking it as a CCD and not as a change order or a potential change order in that sense. So any questions with that?
Yes, what is the degree of slope right there? I mean, it doesn't look,
It's significant. I don't know offhand. I can look it up and let you know. But it's steep right there.
Sir,
Yes.
is that what you're talking about for railing?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be something similar to that.
So it's more than 4, more like 5 or something?
The height of it,
Yes, sir.
I think it's about a 4 foot.
4 foot.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's a 4 foot rail. Yeah.
Okay.
4
Thank
foot
you.
black garbage.
Complete picture of the pool in there.
Yeah, 4 foot flat rail.
I just said that,
We didn't know that was gonna be steep at the beginning of it. We found out at the end of it, it's steep.
Somewhat, yes. It is steep and we need to cover it.
Something changed to make it steep.
No.
Missed something.
You could probably say that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, following along, 2 loads of dirt wouldn't,
Yeah, if you take a look at this, you can't tell, but there is drainage at the very bottom of this, storm drainage.
okay. Thank you.
There is no way to add dirt to that location.
Any more?
Question,
Would it be less expensive if we just took the fence that's there now and just extended that to the building, the front of the building?
This fence here?
Yeah.
No. That security fence is much more expensive
Okay.
than a railing there, than a small 4-foot fence.
Do you know right off how long the fence is?
They were looking less than, what was it, 200?
200 feet.
200, yeah, 150 to 200 linear feet.
Anyone else? Nobody? Do I hear a motion to approve the construction
Don't
change?
move, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Not the ayes have it. That's all we have.
I have one question, if I may, sir. Have you, I know Mr. Pettit gave, last presentation that I can remember him giving, he told us that when we hit the 75% mark, and if I understood you correctly, we're at 98.55, that they were gonna start negotiations with the contract attorney over the things that have been addressed that were, I'm trying to think of a nice way of describing it, but expensive holes for Hamblen County to dig into. Any updates on that?
Continuing negotiations on that, and we have been doing that, I think, well before the 75% mark on that. The negotiations are still ongoing,
Who's negotiating that, out of curiosity?
between the county, myself, and, architect, and, we've got the lawyer involved as well, so, I mean. and-
The contract
and the
attorney?
Contractor as well, yes.
I hadn't seen any bills for her last little bit, so I was curious.
Yeah, we don't want to, like we mentioned before, you don't want to put negotiations out there public, so, doesn't help.
So have you settled any of those technicalities that were like 64,000, 100,000?
No, they're still in discussion.
At what point do you think we might see some results?
Before the project's complete,
We're awful close.
we are getting close.
At some point, can we expect a report? Being we have not seen anything?
Yes.
I think he's answered that 3 times. Thank you, Mr. Delwater.
If you don't care, just bear with me, Bobby. I'm
No,
sure you
we've
don't.
beat this horse to death. Let's move along. We've got a long meeting tonight.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Horner. We'll now move to the Finance Committee. Chairman Rodney Long.
Call the Finance Committee to order. Any visitors wishing to address the committee about agenda items only can do so at this time.
West Point Drive. I want to talk about the drug court. I don't understand why taxpayers have to pay to help get people off of drugs. We didn't put them on it. So I think the person that gets them addicted to it and gives them the medication should be the ones that should have to pay for that, not taxpayers. Think about it. We didn't do it. We didn't give them the medicine. So we need a different kind of law that will get the ones that's giving them the drugs. Taxpayers aren't giving it to them. So I'd like for you to look into that. See maybe if you can't do something about it. Because taxpayers are getting tired of footing all these bills for the jail, for the druggies, the people that are addicted to drugs, the jail. We can't even get our roads fixed. We asked, but we don't get them fixed. That's all we're asking for, the roads. so we don't have to hit the potholes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Anybody else wishing to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 3 is recurring business. That's just your expenditure reports and your monthly checks. Number 4, old business, and we do not have any. We'll move to number 5A. This is the bid tabulation for the 225 Horner Dowry Pavilion Roof Siding and Guttering Project at Cherokee Park. Mr. Mayor, you update?
Yes, Commissioners, tonight we look at the bid tabulation for the Horner Daughtery Pavilion at Cherokee Park. And this comes from our Rural Tourism Development Grant that we passed last year to accept. It's a $100,000 grant with a 10% match. In that, you have a bid tabulation that we are going to look over. I'm going to call up former Mayor Britton. He has been involved in this from the very beginning, and he's going to take over the bids.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all. In your packet is a 2-page bid tab. We had good participation from general contractors on this bid. We had 8 proposals. The low bid coming from English Mountain Construction from Morristown at $31,553. It was less than $200 lower than the second bid. We talked to references for the low 3 bidders, and all of them were excellent. As Mayor Cutshaw mentioned, the grant program, the Tourism Enhancement Grant Program, is a 90-10 grant. So this project will put a new roof on the Horner Daughtery Pavilion. It will put new siding on it and new guttering. And we get that benefit for about $4,100. And the grant pays the rest of it. So our recommendation is English Mountain Construction.
I hear a motion.
Second.
Motion.
We have a first and a second.
Who was the motion?
Any,
Mr. Richardson.
any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. AB, Resolution 25, a resolution authorizing Hamblen County to apply for a Tennessee Highway Safety Office-sponsored 2026 High Visibility Grant in the amount of $10,000. Captain, you want to update us on that?
Yes, sir. So basically, this grant is just it's a 50-50 grant. So 50% of it is for equipment, 50% of it is for overtime spent on working any kind of safety, traffic safety that we'll get out there and help with THP and other surrounding counties. If we're doing sobriety checkpoints, if we're daily just policing the roads, traffic stops, tickets, all that. And our plan is to, with part of the money, buy some 4 or 5 MDTs, however many we can get, in-car computers for the cruisers. And then the other 5,000 will go towards overtime.
Thank you, Captain. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Question.
Motion by Mike Reed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Thomas Doty. Mr. Neesmith?
What all equipment are you getting?
Just computers, that's it.
That's how much money?
Depending on how many we can get 4 or 5 computers for the amount of money.
5,000. How big a space is all that's gonna take up?
It's a computer laptop that
I
goes,
mean, when you set it up out there,
it goes in the cruiser.
DWI test, how big an area will you be using? Have you got cones you set up?
We do.
That include the cones?
We've already got all that. Yeah, this is just for the computers.
Just computer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote to motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5C is renewal of the Hamblen County Sheriff's Department slip and mooring lease agreement with Cherokee Boat Dock. Sheriff?
There's no change, it's still the same amount as it has been.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have first by Ms. Ahern, the second by Mr. Harville. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Green?
Quick question, sir. When I looked at this, it still had an indemnity clause in it. And if I remember correctly, the last time that I asked Mr. Capps about it, he said they'd pull that out, but it's got the same thing again. And previously, when some of the contracts had that in it, he had them removed. So are we going to remove it, or are we going to put the county in the middle here? Because according to our class in Knoxville, that me, Mr. Walker, and Commissioner Neesmith took, county can't indemnify anyone. So if you need your attorney to answer that, I have no problem. I'd like to have an answer.
I'm not prepared to answer that question. If it's, my impression and my recollection was it was not actually indemnity from the county, but that could be mistaken. I'll have to look at that again and be able to give an opinion on it. But if she is correct in that the county is not able to indemnify other third parties.
One more question, sir, please.
Go ahead.
Does that mean we're gonna pull it, or we're gonna slide it by and override the county's rights?
We'll pull it because I'm not gonna take a vote on it unless we get that answer.
You know, can we just draw a line through it and say, you know, it's not in there until, I don't know.
That was what they said before they pull it out, but it's right back in there again.
Well, what I'm suggesting is today, we all draw a line through it and say, that's that. And then it won't be in there. Can we do that?
But it's in there.
Because I thought there was something about that last year, too.
There was, and they said they'd remove it, and evidently.
Mr.
right
Mayor,
back in there.
did we not vote to take that out? Is that,
In my recollection, we did. Maybe this same contract was not amended as far as the one that's used here. My suggestion is that you guys could, through the Finance Committee, push this forward, and we take care of that before our commission meeting if you so choose. I mean, you don't have to vote it through at commission. I'm just saying you can start the process, and we can clear that up before the 24th.
okay.
And, I mean, it's your choice. You can withhold it or put it on the table, and it can be pulled on the 24th.
Ms. Ahern, you're willing to, you was first motion on it, right?
Yes, sir.
You willing to amend your motion?
I can amend it that we accept it as is and vote it through to the commission. Yes.
Mr. Harville?
That's fine.
Any other questions?
Now, the date does say April 1st, so I don't know what happens between now and, just a thought. Okay. Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5D, interlocal agreement between Hamblen County, Tennessee and the Hamblen County Highway Department for the performance of road work in Cherokee Park. Mr. Mayor?
This interlocal agreement, by the request of Superintendent Wise Carver, this is basically the main purpose is for accountability. The Highway Department goes inside our park, and we have an interlocal agreement that we can do that. However, Superintendent, you want to add anything? Okay. So basically, if there's, we've got a $200,000 limit in here. If anything over that, then that comes before this body. Otherwise, from time to time, the Highway Department is asked to go inside Cherokee Park and repair roads, obviously. potholes and what have you. And if it's major repair work that's going to need more money, they come before this body and discuss that. But that's what this interlocal agreement is, that it's accountability, that the highway department has the right to go in there and do work and be reimbursed for in their books. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion.
Mr. Walker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Doty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5E, the Hamblen County Proposed Spring Paving Road List. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Wisecarver, update us.
This top bracket is what we're going to pave this spring, what we're asking for out of the wheel tax money. $568,320. That's what, we got the roads listed over here. The Spencer Hale Road is actually the one at Hurricane. The rest of it we got to fix back. The rest of them's half mile, some of them's a mile that we're going to fix. If you don't pave all of it, we're going to go in there and mill out the bad spots and patch them back. We can't afford to pave them long roads. The bottom bracket is state aid roads, which is just information for y'all. It ain't nothing we're asking for as far as the money wise right now. That would be state aid projects.
When will you start paving on the lower bracket?
Yeah, it'd be after July.
After July.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? Mr. Neesmith?
Are you gonna do prep on these roads or just pave them?
We've already been prepping them.
They didn't prep?
Yeah.
All of them been prepped?
Well, we're working on it.
Work on it.
Yeah, some of them's done, some of them we're still working on.
Do you have a charge for that?
All this here is just for asphalt that we're doing. The other, we're taking out of our road money.
So the prep's still to come? The prep money's still to come from somewhere?
No, using operating
No,
budget.
we're taking that out of our budget.
I beg your pardon?
We're taking it out of our budget. The money I'm asking for is strictly for asphalt.
Okay. So you're paying for the prep work out of your budget?
Out of my budget.
This is just for paving?
All that's just straight asphalt.
But all these roads will be prepped before they pave?
Yeah, we're prepping them now.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Green?
Mr. Wisecarver, I noticed your state aid roads. Is that the only state aid roads that you're going to do, is the first question. The second question is, will that take care of all the state aid money? Third question, is there any more coming this year?
We should get about 180,000.
More this year?
After July.
And
That's what we're expecting anyway.
will there be any more added to this list, state aid roads?
No, not for this year.
Anyone else? Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Mr. Doty, second by Mr. Harville. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Wisecarver. You all prepping those there, I will commend you on that. They are smooth. I'm surprised how a patch can be that smooth, you know, so I will commend you on that. We'll move to 5F, OPID Abatement Committee Funding Recommendation, 3rd Judiciary District Recovery Court Support Services, $20,000. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, before you folks, before you commissioners, sorry, the opioid abatement committee meets, and by application, you receive requests. And by application, this committee is made up of several across the area that have been involved in this, and they vet this process. And the money that's being used here is opioid abatement money. Most of that money is, I shouldn't say most, a good portion of that money is restricted. You can only use it for certain items. It's money that's came to us. That specific, it meets the need for this request from the Third Judicial District Recovery Court Services. Nonprofit has requested $20,000. And it was vetted through the committee, which Mayor Britton is still the committee chairman for that. He wanted to stay with that and watch that through. It's been a project for him to handle that, but this requested $20,000 will cover the following essential costs directly related, and that's acquisition or renovation for $4,500, $7,500 for washer and dryer and essential furnishings, etc., and $8,000 to cover estimated monthly utility cost. That said, this expands their services to, 12 to 16 new beds. And this again, folks, commissioners, I'm sorry. This again prevents or helps someone to get back on the road to recovery and keeps them out of our jail and gets them back where they are being productive lives and can earn money. They have strict regulations that they have to follow. They're a part of this program, but they work and they give back to society. So that's what this is about. Any questions?
I need to make one comment. I think that it needs to be also mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is, I know it was brought up earlier, and this is the opioid money. It's not costing the county. And then you throw in the fact that we're going to have a savings out of this because these people that would normally be in jail and we're paying for their incarceration, we'll be moving them through the system and out. And so it's a savings for the county in the long run. Am I correct?
That is the plan. That's the hope, that they go through these services and walk through this program to get them back to being productive citizens, not only for themselves, but for the community, for their families. It's a big deal. We've bought into it as far as a needed service here in our community.
And it's a proven winner.
It's an obvious need, and yes, I have seen the results. It is proven. Okay. Any questions?
Ms. Green?
2 questions. And we were talking about it before the meeting. When does this committee meet? Because I, for one, would like to start attending and keep up with the results of this, and how do I find a list of who's on it?
There's not a set schedule, and we'll have to try to alert you to the next meeting, but there is not a set schedule.
Is it not open to the public as a public meeting?
Yes, I didn't say that, ma'am.
Oh, I
said it's
didn't
not a
say you
set
did,
schedule.
sir.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't, but.
Go ahead, your next question.
But I would be interested to see that, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any others?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Aaron?
Second.
Second by Mr. Walker. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to item 5G, the construction bids for the health department. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we're grateful to move forward with this project, the new Hamblen County Health Department. The bids have came in and have been vetted once again. And at this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Laura Johnston with Barber McMurray Architects.
Good evening. As you all are aware of, we're looking to construct a new health department. It's going in the old Food City building. So this is a renovation of the Food City, and on April 3rd, we were fortunate to receive 7 qualified bids. This bid was both a base bid and 3 alternates. I believe that you have in your packet this drawing that shows the square footage of the base bid. The base bid contains the health department, the vestibule where you enter into the health department, and the corridor that kind of goes around the health department space. That was a total of 20,222 square feet. Then there were 3 alternates. One is for the UT Ag Extension Office. There was some storage space associated with that, and then a voting storage area and voting area for the county. So that was in alternate number 1. Alternate number 2 were to place some exterior windows in this building for the health department. They go on this, what's south of your plan, so we can get some daylight in there for the people working in that. And then number 3 was for a covered pavilion for drive-through testing or drive-through vaccinations for the health department. So that was alternate number 3, and that's a pre-manufactured little awning. So do we have questions then about this or about how the bids themselves?
Anyone have a question? Could you give us a little background on the low bidder?
Yes, the apparent low bidder was Construction Partners. If you'll see, their base bid was $3,761,000. They're out of Johnson City. We being Barbara McMurray, asked them to send in a document called an A305. It's a document put out by the American Institute of Architects, and it qualifies it sends in their qualifications as a contractor. So when it came back, it showed that they are licensed for this type of project. They also sent in some references and some other projects they've done of this type. I think there were 2 other health departments on their list, both further east of you all, but they have done this type of work before.
Any other questions? Mr. Mayor, you come.
Yes, there's a second part of this where I'm going to call up former Mayor Britton once again. He's been involved from the very inception of this project, and he has overseen the capital or the county build-outs. So make sure you understand, we've got the health department, and then we've got a county portion. He's going to explain part of that, but let's see, there was another point I needed to make. I guess it'll come out in a minute. Mayor Britton?
Thank you. We were fortunate to have the participation that we did with as many bidders as we had on this project. It's an indoor project, and I think that was part of the attraction as well, and will help the project move along, especially during the winter months. Here today, just for your benefit, are some representatives of the Tennessee Department of Health and the County Health Department, and Dustin Dawes is the project manager for the State Department of Health. Dustin's here, and then Jennifer Gilbert is the director of the Hamblen County Health Department, and then Manny Bedwell is, of course, the director of UT Ag Extension. Now, as Ms. Johnson mentioned, the county space includes Ag Extension. Their offices will move out to Oak Tree Plaza. It includes office space for them, storage for them, and then also storage for the voting machines and a voting area for, my understanding is that the Election Commission is going to convert to the convenience voting areas around the county. So that would, there'd be 2,500 feet total for the Election Commission out there. And then there's 1,000 square feet that is not assigned. There's also a small corner office, you could say, with a separate entrance for the death investigators that they now are operating out of the second floor of the health department, and their office will go away when 911 takes over that building, and so they will have a cubicle with a separate entrance in this building. just, let's see. Here's just to talk to you a little bit about how to pay for the project, the health department. The grant for this project, the state part of it is 3 million, or excuse me, let's go back to the bid, sorry. The base bid with the alternates is $3.8 million. That does not include the county space alternate. This is the health department alternates, the windows and the drive-through canopy. Then we added a 5% construction contingency of $192,000, and then furniture and fixtures, equipment, we have a 10% contingency in there too. We based that on, Jennifer and I put together a list of what the furniture that would be transferred and what new furniture would be needed, and then we used the pricing from the Justice Center bids to estimate what that would be. So the total cost would be right at $4.2 million. So the state, the total project is about $5.2 million. That includes the state grant and the local match. Now, the local match consists of the building. We bought the building, and that's the local match. So the health department grant from the Department of Health is $4.3 million, $4,322,500, and the total budget that I just reviewed with you is $4.2 million, which leaves about $95,000 left over. So that gives us some cushion in case something happens. And so that's how the numbers lay out on the state grant that will pay for the health department space. Now the local match, as I mentioned, is $1.1 million, and we're applying the purchase of the Oak Tree Plaza to that, as well as we might be able to use some of the fees for the architect that we paid, and the Hamblen County Emergency Communication District paid us the $1.1 million for the health department building. And so that has reimbursed the county for part of what it costs to buy the shopping center. Now, as far as the county space goes, Construction Partners' bid was $637,300. We added a 5% contingency to that of $31,000. And then we estimated the FF&E at $79,000 with a 20% contingency, and for a total of $748,000 for that project. Now that is all on the county. That no grant money will go will help offset this cost. So this is the cost of the county space of about close to 9,000 square feet. And so. So what we are suggesting is our estimated cost is $748,000. In the current year's budget, in the capital project section of the current year budget, there is $750,000 available for this project. And we budgeted that last spring, knowing that this was coming up, and then that leaves $750,000 in that line for other county projects, or to go back into the fund balance at the end of the year if it's not used for anything. So that's how we would pay for this project. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, let's see, we haven't included is that including the space for the storage of the voting machines?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And did we not talk about too, that, thinking of the whole scheme, that there would be a city motor, what do you call those cars? When they bring a car in and it's detained?
The impound lot.
Thank you.
For the county.
That, Sheriff, we went through that, and the cost of it was gonna be astronomical. And it was gonna be behind the shopping center, up on the
Right.
hill. And the building, plus the fencing and the grade work to meet code, was gonna be, was it in the 300s? $300,000. So
That
we
was-
backed off of that over a year and a half ago, probably.
Okay. So it's still less expensive just to pay the city at the.
$5,000 a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
How much did you say was in that capital line item?
750. In the budget?
You said there was 750. If we used it, it would leave 750 in there
Correct.
too?
Correct.
So there's 1.5 in there?
Yes.
Right. We also, Mayor, have an opportunity to do value engineering on our portion.
Correct.
So we might get that space a little cheaper.
Correct. And also, Manny has been talking with the UT Department of Agriculture about some projects. If they have money available to help offset and pay for some of the furniture, they do that. So we don't have a commitment at this time, but that's a possibility that UT would pay for some of the furniture that we'd be buying for the ag office.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Britt. I think what we'll do here, we'll take a motion. In that motion, you'll need to state. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, this committee should consider accepting that low bid and moving forward.
So that motion would include the county space too?
Yes, it's all
Great.
encompassed in the one bid, okay,
Okay.
it is. The construction partners have bid the whole project, okay? That way, you've got one construction outfit doing the whole project, and the billing will be separate for those two build-outs.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Doty, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harville. Any other discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mayor. Go to 5H, a request to amend the original spending plan for the ARPA proceeds. Ms. Hale?
Good evening. Before you in your packet tonight is a memo regarding the ARPA spending plan. The ARPA plan, of course, came from the COVID money that we received. And in May of 2022, the commission then voted on a proposed spending plan. That's also in your packet. Funding went for a countywide communications project. Money went towards the building of a new justice center, stormwater projects, water line projects, and then the school construction project. So before you tonight, I'm asking that the communications project ended up being more than the $2.5 million that the county initially approved in that first spending plan in 2022. And the reason being is EMS decided after the fact that they wanted to participate in the radio project. So to supply EMS 30 radios cost the county $282,000. There was some negotiations with Motorola. Former Mayor Perkey was the lead on the project, and we were under the assumption we're going to get a credit for some batteries, and that didn't happen. And long story short, we need to amend this to cover those additional costs of the radios for EMS. And to do that, we're proposing, and the school system has agreed, the initial plan was to give them just over $1.5 million. Instead, we're going to give them 1.3. They ended up not needing it for the Lincoln School project, but instead can use it towards the classroom enclosure project. So if you choose to, we will amend the plan to reflect the 2.712 to go towards the communications project and 1.3 million for the school enclosure project. So that would be the first step in this. And then in the last paragraph of your memo, I'm also asking that we leave this money for stormwater and the water line improvements. So that's a total of 1.1 million in this fund, but then move everything else out into the general fund. So that's around $565,000 that will go from our ARPA fund to the general fund. And that's mainly made up of interest that we've earned since we received this money. It's been set aside, earning interest all this time. So, we are allowed to move that into the general fund and use it for general purpose projects.
Any questions? Ms. Green?
First question, what are the requirements for that? Are there any stipulations that we need to be aware of as to what that money can be spent for?
Not currently.
Well, why can't we put it on the roads then? We're in dire need. That's why we put a wheel tax on there for folks to get their roads fixed. They were sick of the holes and knocking ball joints out and everything else. So why can we not put it there? Because if I remember our report correctly from the last time the mayor reported, our funds are extremely strong. Everything is above what it needs to be. So why not put it where we're in desperate need of?
Ms. Howe?
Okay, now the radios we already have. So I guess we need to pay for the radios. And, golly, I thought but, oh, you mean beyond the tax, the wheel tax money?
Yeah, what's left, let me clarify my question if you don't care, to Ms. Howe. My question is, what's left that they were gonna just move to the general fund for something else?
Oh.
Why can we not put that toward the roads? We're in dire need there. Our roads are horrible.
I'd like to make a recommendation, as Ms. Green brings up a valid point. We're about to go into budget season. We need to work through our budget this year and see where we're at the end of that day, and then see where we can go with it. There may be some other needs that this county may incur that we need to address. Not that roads is not one of our main projects. So I don't disagree. I just think maybe we ought to wait to the backside of the budget and see where we're at.
Is there any other questions?
And one more. My
Ms. Green.
concern is that it will not be used for the roads and it'll be put somewhere else and otherwise, and we need those roads. That's why we voted for a wheel tax.
Go in general fund.
Yeah. Predisposed of.
Anyone else? So I want to make sure that when we make this motion, that the motion will cover everything that you stated. We do not have to vote those separate, correct?
You can vote them as one if you choose, or you can separate them.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we allocate the 2.712668 for the Communications Improvement Project, 1.3 to the Hamblen County Board of Education, and the $565,000 go to the general fund.
We have a first by Mr. Harwell and a second by Ms. Ahern. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote to motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Second? Opposed, excuse me. None. Motion passes. Move to 5I, budget amendments. Start with the Hamblen County Department of Education. Jared Ladd, come to the podium, please. Start with I, and that's the Hamblen County Department of Education School Nutrition Program, budget amendment number 1. That's the increase of $1,094,000. $94,000, excuse me. Mr. Ladd, sorry.
Good evening. So this school nutrition amendment, the biggest piece of it is equipment. We've had to replace additional equipment this year, more so than in the past. I'll go down the list. So we had planned to purchase equipment for the new Miller Boyd Elementary School with next year's budget. However, we're expecting that school to be open next school year, so we'll have to purchase that equipment out of this year's budget. That's about $300,000. We've replaced serving lines, fryers, Russellville Intermediate, Fairview, Lincoln Elementary. We've replaced those come up to about $463,000. We've replaced the dishwasher at West High School that was 45 years old and had quit. We've replaced a dishwasher at Alpha Intermediate. The West High dishwasher was about $117,000. And then various other equipment, serving lines at West Elementary. So that makes up $1,075,000. And then the remainder is smaller items. We have a new area manager who requires additional training, a little extra travel there. Printer ink. The printer ink is very expensive, so we have a $3,000 increase on that line item. Small wares at Lincoln Elementary for $6,000, and then $5,000 for office setup for the two new area managers, and they have put a cafeteria, a small cafe in the West High Library.
Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
We'll move, Mr. Chairman.
First, Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Walker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move to I-2, and it's the Hamblen County Department of Education Amendment Number 6. It's an increase of $13,000.
We received a $13,000 check from Niswonger. It's related to tutoring supplies, so we need to amend to add that to our budget.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Harville. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ahern. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I-3, the Hamblen County Department of Education, Budget Amendment Number 7. It's an increase of $415,949.15.
All right. There's a few pieces to this one. There's a small reduction for the CCEIS adjusted allocation. This is a federal allocation. It's related to disproportionality for identified, special needs students. So the federal reduction went down, so the amount that we have to set aside, it's 15%. So the federal reduction went down, so we had to adjust that. The next line item is we have 4 psych positions in the budget. We only have one of those filled, so we're having to cover that with contracted services, which cost us ultimately more money. But what we're doing here is just moving it out of the psych line into the contracted services line to cover the needs of the students. The next line item is almost $385,000. This is so that we can purchase computers. We're on a 5-year tech refresh, so we can purchase computers before the tariffs kick in. With the tariffs that are set to kick in, that would be about $100 a computer. We're wanting to purchase 1,800 computers, so there's a considerable savings in trying to beat the tariffs. And the last line item is just the acceptance of the U-Trust grant. We use this grant for middle school beta competitions, the middle school scholars banquet. We're going to put $15,000 of it towards the DARE program, and then staff appreciation, service awards and such.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Mr. Doty, second by Mr. Harville. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ladd.
Thank you.
We'll move to I-4, Fund 101, the miscellaneous, county mayor, it's $100,000.
The budget amendment before you relates to the Broadband Ready Community Grant. It was a grant that commission voted to apply for in October of '23. It's 100% funding from the state with no county match. This budget amendment recognizes the expense and the revenue associated with that grant.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First by Mr. Ahern, Ms. Ahern, second by Mr. Reed. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I-5 is Fund 101, it's Parks, Fire Boards for $37,800.
This budget amendment goes along with the bid you just approved for the roofing and gutter project at Cherokee Park related to the Tourism Enhancement Grant. This will recognize the expense, the 90% that this grant will cover, and then the associated grant revenue.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Who was it? First by Mr. Harville. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Walker. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is Fund Number 101, Sheriff's Department of $22,885.05.
The Sheriff's Department has requested to purchase 2 new Dodge Chargers. Of that, it costs $60,311.15 is going to be covered from insurance proceeds that we've received this year for 2 other vehicles that were damaged. The remaining funding for these 2 new vehicles, $22,885. The Sheriff's Department is going to move that from excess funds they have in their law enforcement equipment line. So between the insurance recovery and the movement from their law enforcement equipment, that will give them enough money to purchase these new vehicles.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
First by Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir, thank you. I'd like to ask the sheriff now, if we're getting, I forget already, was it 5 or 6 or 10 computers inside inside the car? All right. So, kind of makes me wonder, now, are there computers in there already, or are these just newer ones, or what is it?
Most of them already have computers.
Okay,
This one will finish it up.
okay.
That was a grant that Jack Curtis was talking about.
All right, and maybe these 2 coming up, these 2, yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir, thank you.
Anyone else, Ms. Green?
One question. Is that just vehicles only or vehicle plus equipment? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it all.
That'd be equipped.
They're fully equipped.
Okay, so
Oh,
they come
okay,
fully equipped at that price.
Yes.
Bargain shopping, somebody done a good job.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is items of interest. I would ask that make sure you look over all of those. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Long. Appreciate the work. We'll move now to our Personnel Committee. Chairman Thomas Doty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee meeting to order. Anyone wishing to address this committee may do so now. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Old business, we have none. Item 4A, approval of education pay submissions. And we have one associate in here, received a bachelor. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell, thank you. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is longevity pay submissions. We have one associate with 4 years service, about $300 in pay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Ahern. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. Move to the Public Services Committee. Call on Chairman Mike Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call the Public Services Committee to order. Item 2, any visitors wishing to address the committee about agenda items only, you have 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 3A, no old business. Item 4A, Resolution 25, a resolution to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 05, tax map 448, parcels 066.01, Maple Valley Road, Morristown, Tennessee, 37814, from A1 to I1. Josh Cole.
Yes, sir. Staff has received a request from applicant Paul LaBelle. As you just stated, rezone a parcel that's located from the urban growth boundary from A1, your agricultural forestry district, to I1, which is your industrial district. The reason given for the request is to pursue a light industrial use at this location. The parcel is located near the intersection of Maple Valley Road, Highway 160, just west of Arrowhead Church on the west end of the county. Has Highway 160 to the south, what appears to be a commercial laydown or industrial use immediately to the east, zone commercial, residential uses along with vacant land, zone A1 to the north and west of this parcel. It does contain many industrial uses nearby though. You have PFG Hell just right up the road, the Morristown Airport Industrial Park just slightly north and west of here. Due to the location of the property near 160, the nearby commercial uses along this corridor, staff does recommend approval. And the Morristown Regional Planning Commission also recommend approval at their April monthly meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Is this in city limits?
No, it's in the county. But it is within the city's growth boundary, so that's why I'm here today.
Well, I was wondering why you was here.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Ahern. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Long. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, we'll take the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 5A, Veteran Service Memorandum of Understanding between the Tennessee Department of Veteran Services and Hamblen County. And item 5B, Memorandum of Understanding between the Catholic Charities of East Tennessee and Hamblen County, Tennessee Health Department. Those are interest items only and no actions necessary. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. Now we'll move to the RV Camper Study Committee. I'll call on Chairman Kyle Walker.
Thank you. Call to order the RV Camper Study Committee. Visitors wishing to address the committee, you have 3 minutes if you'd like to step up to the podium.
Donna Neff, 5719 Long Creek Road. So my neighbors live at 5750 Leapers Ferry. There's currently 4 campers on their property. The law, the mayor, me, nobody knows how many people reside there. I'd say at least 20. I wouldn't call this a campground, I'd call it a compound. Not only do they have traffic in and out at all times, of course y'all know that they have pit bulls and other aggressive dogs. This last week, my dad, by the way, is going to be 74 in May. he's lived on his property since 78, I believe. He is harassed all the time. Last week, one of their dogs got on his property, attacked his dog. So nothing was done about that. The animal control said they'd drive by to see if the dogs were loose. My problem is not only the dogs that has caused over $100,000 in damage so far, medical bills, it's the people. They're not hooked up on sewage. There's no light post at a lot of them. I think one of them may be legal. The other three are not. One of them's sitting in the front yard on their property where my fence is, 200 yards from that fence. Now these people have built a fence using wood and tires. This is what, oh, and I get a letter from the property tax people. They're gonna come out. Why should I pay property tax on something I can't even enjoy? Yes, I get out there and mow my yard carrying a gun. I've got a swimming pool sitting there that I can't even enjoy for 2 years because one of their dogs tried to jump in on my kids. Something has got to give. I know there's people living in campers that can't do no better. This is a different situation. Something has got to be done. I can't wait 2 years if that's what we're thinking. I don't smell sewage no more, so I'm thinking they got the sewage not running on my dad's property anymore, running on somebody else's. But I just need answers. I need help.
Thank you for your comment.
Can I ask her a question, Bob?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Ma'am?
Miss Nuff,
I'm sorry.
who's your father?
Frederick Road.
I know him. I talked with him the other day. I think this property that they've got is the old Charlie Moore property,
Yes, sir.
the brick house.
Yes, sir. It's .81 acres, 4 campers, a shed people living in, a house people living in. I mean, we've had tires slashed. We've been, his property's been rolled 2 or 3 times. Like I said, his dogs got attacked last week. I called the law. I called animal control. Now I'm looking at where else can I go?
Okay, I think that property, your father owns all 3 sides of it.
Well, he don't own my side. My side's 3 acres.
Okay.
But he purchased it for me.
Okay, so he owns 2 sides,
I think there's like 7.
back and 1 side?
My property, his property, and my daughter's property. It's like 70 acres, I believe.
Okay.
And ours is fenced, but was fenced better than it is now because all the traffic we've had come through it. For 9 years, we're talking 9 years, I've dealt with this. Not the campers per se, but I've been coming here for a year over the campers. Before the campers, it was a bus. They could just move that bus around the yard, so they wouldn't get in trouble for that.
I talked to the animal control about this. They're well aware of these people.
Yes, they are.
And they told me that there's still litigation
Yes, they
against these people for this dog attacking your child and having to airlift your child to Knoxville.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, she's lucky to be alive.
Amen.
The doctor said he had to spend 25 minutes to save her before he could begin procedures. She's a walking, talking miracle, but she's scarred for life. And when I say that, she is scarred for life from head to toe. 2 teeth missing. That's another $15,000. So now we're in debt $115,000. I'm being sued by 2 people over doctor bills.
I understand the people that live there don't own the property.
Who knows who lives there? The woman that owns it, I believe, lives in Florida.
Yeah.
And her I don't even think she has kids, but she calls them her kids live there.
I think she's the one that's on the deed.
Yeah, she's the one on
She's
this
got
one.
2 sisters that live there and whatever else they got. I'm sorry for your problems. I don't know, but I know where the property's at. I've been out there, looked at it. There's more to that than just dogs.
Yes, there is more to it than the dogs.
And there's more to it
I
than just
think people
campers.
assume that I'm here because I'm mad over the dogs, which I am. I mean, they can't give me back my child 100%. But when I got the property tax thing, that was just another knife in the back. I mean, pay taxes on something you can't enjoy. You can get out there and mow with your gun, no. I don't understand why there's no help. And yes, there is a law they're gonna go to grand jury. I think in May, they were supposed to then went to grand jury. I don't know what the holdup was there, but according to the judge, they're going to grand jury. Thank y'all.
Well, thank you, and we are thinking about you.
Any other comments?
Linda O.H.O. Stevens Road. I appreciate the previous concern that you showed or expressed for people undergoing drug treatment, allocating money for that purpose. I hope you will show similar concern and consideration as we look at the situation and setting conditions by which individuals might be able to reside or live in campers or RVs under reasonable conditions, not a free-for-all, but setting conditions for that purpose. There are many people who cannot afford a $300,000, a $200,000, a $100,000 house, or $1,500 in rent payments every single month. Specifically, I hope that you will allow people to live in RVs and campers under conditions that they properly dispose of waste is probably the most important condition, as well as the number of campers or RVs that might be allowed on A1 property in the county. I could see setting a limit of 1 camper per lot, perhaps whether there's a house on it or not, but then a camper or RV for a 5-acre lot. And then perhaps allowing as many as 2 if they have more than 5 acres. I personally would not go beyond 2, because then we're getting into much of the situation that this lady spoke of with too many, and we've essentially turned 5-acre, a 10-acre, a 20-acre lot into a mini campground. So please show compassion, show empathy, show understanding, and just come up with reasonable rules instead of these nothing. We're not going to have any campers. We're not going to have any RVs. People cannot afford more than that. Look at the real world. Look at these interest rates, 7%. Look at food and everything else and show compassion, and please come up with reasonable rules. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
We have got a lot of places that need cleaning up. We all know that. And we all know that there's raw sewage and stuff that runs in the creeks now. We all know that. We all know that. And it ain't just certain places, it's quite a few places, even out in Cherokee Park. So, you know, we need to clean up our act. If the other people have to abide by the laws, all the other people should too. And I agree. Y'all grandfathered into junkyards. Why can't you grandfather in the campers? To me, you're showing respect to person when you don't do that. You might get sued for grandfathering in the campers, or the junkyards are not considering grandfathering in the campers because they've been in existence since 1990. People's been living in them because, you know why they've been living in them? Because we don't enforce the law. So since they've been living in them and we haven't enforced the law, then they should be grandfathered in just like the junkyards.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? I see none. Let's move on old business. We have none. Item 4, new business. 4A, residing in an RV and camper. And I'd like to speak on this before we bring this up, okay? What we need to understand as commissioners, we are not voting on, are we allowing them to reside in a camper? What has been proposed to us from zoning is, do we allow them to stay in a camper till a year and a half from when we proposed this? Or do we go with what our books show now, that it is unlawful to live in a camper, which means zoning can go out starting tomorrow and enforcing the fines and penalties on these people tomorrow? That's what zoning has asked us to do. They didn't ask us to debate, do we allow camper living, how we should let camper living go on, how to modify camper living, or how to modify our zoning. They've asked us to make a ruling on one modification. Do we allow them the grace period? And when we're talking about having compassion, I think zoning did a great job with having compassion to give somebody a year and a half to change their situation. Or do we just say no, and they have to change it tomorrow? That's what we've been asked the task at hand to vote on. If we feel like zoning needs to do something else and to change the zoning rules, we should ask zoning to do that and bring it in front of us. Okay? That's why we have zoning and building codes. So that's all I'm gonna say. And I'm opening that up for if anybody would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept draft number 5 as presented by the Planning Commission.
I have a motion. Thank you, Mr. Warner. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Ahern. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Doty.
Again, I have a differing opinion. Seeing as, when you read the draft of the Hamblen County Planning Commission, it specifically states in section D, and this is what they're wanting us to approve, is the use of a camper as permitted as a permanent dwelling is not allowed in Hamblen County. We are voting on whether or not to do that if we approve their draft, because that is the specific wording of this. Yes, it's there now. It's been there. I made a mistake in the last meeting and said 1988. I was getting a little flustered about things, but since 2018, it has been there already, that it's not legal, but they are asking us to approve this, and yes, it has that verbiage inside it. So to say we are not telling people they can't use it is not completely true, because it's in here in black and white in the verbiage. Again, I think it is an overreach of us. I think it's egregious for us to tell people what they can do on their own property when they are not hurting someone. It was said in the last meeting that we haven't come up with a lot of proposals. I was the first one to come up with proposals, that they be hooked up properly. And if hooked up properly, one per lot be allowed. There is a strong financial need in this community. We do have a lot of higher paying jobs coming in, but we also have a lot of manufacturing jobs. We have a lot of jobs that don't pay enough money to purchase this. I looked online the other day, and prefab units that they bring in, and these companies come in and set up for you. Not a mobile home, but the prefab permanent units. You're looking at $250,000. We've got people that can't afford $25,000. But they have a roof over their head, and we're telling them, okay, in 2 years or in a year and a half, you're not gonna have a roof over your head anymore, because you're gonna have to move. They can't afford $25,000 now. They can't afford $250,000 2 years from now. We say, oh, well, go to apply to housing authority. They own land. Why would they apply to housing authority when they want to reside on their own property? Again, I asked everyone to actually read this thoroughly and see. It's in black and white. And to really think about the people and the harm that we're doing. And I do say harm because a lot of people do not have the financial ability to move forward on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Horner? I'm sorry.
Give you a true life experience that I had, and it was very sad. Small camper it had, I guess you would say, a separate bedroom, but it was just a curtain separating it. And when I went there, there were 5 people living in that camper, 3 children. I know the oldest was 6, and the other 2 were a little bit younger. And all 3 of those children were still in diapers, as it were. Now, this is when the weather was still warmer. And I talked to the 2 adults of the house. And again, I'm not sure if they were husband and wife, but they were the parents. Probably mid-30s, maybe a little younger. Neither worked. And I was talking to the father, and I said, you know, have you tried to find jobs or anything? Well, yeah. I said, well, you know, there's places all around. I mentioned McDonald's or whatever. I think at the time McDonald's was starting out at $17 an hour. And his comment to me was, well, I'm not flipping burgers. I said, okay. I said, I just drove by a sign in the industrial park on the way out to that, starting salary, $22 an hour. And I said, do you realize if you and your wife were to take a $20 an hour job, that's $40 an hour, do the math, $1,600 a week, about $6,400 a month. Now, that's not making anybody wealthy at all. I understand that. And his reply was, well, I don't know if my old car will get me to the job. So he had excuses for everything. And I look around that camper, and I said, well, where do your children sleep? They sleep on mats on the floor. Now, I know Mr. Doty said they had a roof over their head. My contention is that we give them, and we're giving them time to get into public housing where the children will be safe, have a room of their own, a playground. It'll be a lot better than the way they're living. To add to that, a couple of things. When I left, those 3 children were outside playing around the camper, and they were slopping around in raw sewage. That broke my heart. I got grandchildren those ages. It brought me to tears. Those children are probably not with those parents any longer. So who are we protecting here? Who are we protecting? What is our overreach? Well, the only thing we're trying to do is tell these people there's a better way and help them to achieve a better way. I don't see the overreach part. We could go to that same camper and we could tell, and by the way, they had a water hose run through the kitchen window with a sprayer on it. We could go to those people right now and say, you can stay here if you have proper hookups of water, electric, and sewer. And they're going to say, how much will that cost? And we're going to say $1,000. And they're going to look at you like you've got three heads. Now, their refusal to work has put them in this position. Okay, they need to serve, they had their phones, both of them had nice cell phones, and whether you agree or not, they were puffing away on cigarettes and whatnot, and they both looked like they were well fed. That's okay, let them, but those three children deserve so much better than that to get out of that cycle, and we're sitting here today saying, let them stay in that. Let's don't provide a better way for them. And that's where it is. When you see that and you understand, no, they can't afford a $250,000 house, but they can't afford $1,000 to hook up their campers. So I think someone said we had to be logical and reasonable. We have to be realistic. We need to make a way. I talked to the Housing Authority, and they're saying about 18 months to get families into public housing. We're going to give them 2 years. And it'll put the children and the adults also, but it'll put them in a much better situation than what they're living in right now. We have to consider that. And I know, I understand Mr. Doty's comments, and I know he's got a big heart, and there's a lot of me that agrees with what he says. But after what I saw and what I experienced, I'm sorry. I just cannot, in good conscience, let that go without being said.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mrs. Green.
Thank you. First of all, you can dispose of your waste properly. I remember correctly, Chairman Hahn, you're the one that introduced me and enlightened me on what a honeypot was, and I didn't know what it was. Second of all, some of us were raised without running water in the house. You can take your water in. Thirdly, my grandfathers did not have electricity. So yes, you dispose of your waste properly. I don't see why we can't have a little compassion and let them stay in the campers
But they
RV.
won't.
Wait,
They
give me
won't.
just a minute, please, sir. Have a little patience. I listen to you, sir. Now, we need to be human about this. There is no reason that we cannot amend building codes to allow it, provided they dispose of their waste properly. Yeah, there shouldn't be, but hopefully 1, 2 max on a huge piece of property, and I'm talking about 10 to 15 acres. But we need to be common sense. This is overreach. What's to keep you from starting next? You can't have your bush hog sitting in the field. But my point is, we need to have some compassion. When we did our community outreach last year, the number of homeless in Hamblen County would break your heart. I saw people line up and go through lines for a whole 3 hours, different people picking up clothes that did not have anything. So I'm like Thomas, I think if they dispose of that waste properly, there's no reason that they cannot do that. And you need to have a little faith in people that they'll do what's right, because there are some people that will. But some people don't make enough to do this. There are people out there on $14 an hour jobs that cannot pay this. And to bring an added issue, you was talking about $22 an hour. Daycare is ridiculous. My youngest child pays $13,000 a year for her 5-year-old to go to daycare. So it's at $22 an hour does not enlighten that you're gonna be able to afford daycare on top of it. But we need some compassion. We need to send this back to planning and ask them to look at amending the building codes, and they can do it, to the effect that they would allow them, if they dispose of their waste properly. We are doing the citizens of Hamblen County a disservice by pushing the issue, because we may end up with the same thing we had over property maintenance. People coming in and letting you know exactly where they stood. Thank you for the opportunity.
We're sitting here looking at a situation where a man won't get in a broken down car and drive to work, and you're wanting him to take and pull a honey pot to get it done?
Yes, sir. I think they're capable.
That's not gonna happen.
Now, wait a minute.
You wanna be realistic, you wanna be logical, be logical. That man won't get in his car and drive to a job that's a half mile down the road, and you're wanting him to pull his honey pot behind his car to get it pumped. It's not going to happen. And those kids are the ones that are suffering, while that's where my compassion is. You want us to have compassion? That's where my compassion is. We're letting children out there wander around in raw sewage while we stand by and say it's overreach. It's overreach. If you saw a child on Main Street getting beat by a stranger, what would you do? Of course I know what you'd do. You'd step in and beat them with your stick, and rightfully so. The same thing is happening in a lot of our areas right now. That's not overreach. That is common sense. That is compassion. And we got 67,000 people in this county, and this probably involves 100 to 200 people. And we are sitting here letting this take place right before our eyes, and we're afraid we're going to upset somebody because we make a ruling.
Mr. Long?
If we go back and look at this, the letters that were sent out, the majority of those people conformed to those letters. The ones that didn't, about 18 of them, was the ones that had sewer running everywhere. So they were already breaking the rules that we had in place. Planning Commission worked on this. There's nothing else I don't think the Planning Commission can do. We've done all that we can do. They asked for compassion. We gave it to them 24 months. It doesn't matter. If you okayed them, they would still break the rules. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Ms. Green?
Grant you, there are some people that would break the rules, but there are some people that will do the right thing. The people that break the rules, send them a notation, but be reasonable. If they can dispose of their waste, I understand where Bobby's coming from. I don't agree with him. He's got a different opinion than I have, but this is America, and he's entitled to his opinion, thank God. But there is not a reason in the world that we cannot amend the planning by what I have seen and what I've heard when I've attended the meetings the last little bit, and I've missed very few of them. There is not a reason that they cannot amend that to set rules in place that if they dispose of their waste properly, that it could be done. Now, you're gonna have a few people break the rules. I mean, I'm sure you're guilty of speeding every once in a while. I am. But I know better, but I still do it. But, yeah, and I've never had a speeding ticket, I'll tell you that point blank, as of now. But if I got a ticket, it would open my eyes. Okay? That's my point right there. There are some corrective measures in place that we could use. No, they've not used them. And yes, they did send letters to people that had perfectly clean property, that their waste was being disposed of. In fact, one of them, if I remember correctly, that was Johnny Moore's wife. She had every bit of that. But my point is, there is not a reason that we cannot send this back and fix it and do it right to start with. We owe the citizens that much. Thank you.
Mr. Doe?
I just want to say one other thing. And yes, I am compassionate to the children, as Mr. Holmes says. My wife's worked in children's services for 35 years now. I've heard more horror stories than most anybody but the law enforcement brothers up here could even fathom. because they've seen it just like I have. We've seen the horrendous things. But we've also been in some less than desirable places to live that were kept up on the inside. The children were taken care of. They were clothed, they were fed, they had their own place to be. Yes, we need to take care of our children. I agree with that. But do we punish, and I do mean punish, everybody else that doesn't have children that are living in waste because of this family? Yes, we have to take care of those children. We have to act on it. That's why we have a Department of Children's Services, Department of Human Services, is to take care of those matters. This is a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that are living in. No, they don't need to have 4 or 5 on one property. They don't need to have extra along with the residents on property, unless they have a special exemption over a family illness and such. We've discussed this in planning numerous times, different things we might allow them for. As I've asked numerous times, one per lot that is properly taken care of. But I'd already made that point, but I'm just saying, no, we don't need to allow children to go through. But not everybody that we're gonna be taking this, what I consider the right, away from, has the children or is doing right. So why do you punish all for what some are doing? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Naismith?
You brought up a good point. One bad apple can ruin the whole bushel basket full of apples. There's a lot of good apples still in there that's doing the right thing. They got sewer, they got electric, they got the water, they got kids taken care of, they got driveways, they got TV. They're doing it. So I don't think you can lay it down on a few people that's not doing it. I know when they did this letter to come to everybody, we didn't get a report on these 53 campers. Did they have sewer? Did they have electric? All we got is pictures of those campers. That's all we got. We didn't get any report on how many lived there. If they was in A1, if it was in R1, we didn't get that. We don't have the whole story on all this stuff. We don't have it. Now, I'm just like Thomas is, and I have been from day one. Give them the right, set the rules up for them. You can be in A1. You go on the same rules in A1 for a camper as you do for a RV or for a single wide mobile home. That will get you, if you do that rule, that will get you the mail can be delivered to you. You can get on a county garbage, and you can get a hold of 911 can come to you because they got a GPS that tells you where you're at. But some people are not going to go along with it like these people you're talking about. I can't go along with him, but I don't think we can hold all that up against all these other people that's trying to do the right thing. And if you can't do the right thing, you don't need to be there, but we need to set up some way, get this passed where you can live in. Somebody's gonna have to go in and say, well, you don't have electricity, you don't have water, you don't have sewer. You got too many campers on one spot. But if you go to, like you brought up about a month or so ago, Bobby, about you can use the same rule as you got in R1s. I mean, as people living in single wides. There's a lot of single wides out there that's just as nasty as any camper you've ever seen. They're everywhere.
Yes.
I think we need to look at this a lot closer. Don't judge it on one bad apple.
Go ahead, Ms.
Commissioner Neesmith, when I was listening the last meeting in March, and I thought, when the dog is at your child's throat, you don't want to hear, oh, now that hearing will be in May. You want to hear the siren and somebody removing the dog from your child's throat. And I think a lot of the things, when I look back of what the people came forward and talked about, codes could take care of that. If you, I sort of suspect if, you know, if it had been 3 dogs and you said, well, now that dog is not supposed to be out there, we're gonna take your dogs away, by golly, I think they would get in the rundown car and probably go down and take care of it.
Yeah.
And we can't wait till, now don't you worry, in 2 months, 3 months, that'll come forward. You know, we'll.
Okay. Let me follow up with one thing here, okay? So I've done a lot of research on this, and I've went every avenue. I've looked at every avenue after we started this from day one, when this camper and RV study first started, and when I've got the chairman. I talked to C-Task on this, talked to Charlie Curtis. We talk about going to him, and he knows the rules, he knows everything. He sends back to me, no version of the building codes is going to allow campers and RVs as a permanent resident. They are not made for that and raise a lot of hazards. Fire, waste, disposal, water, etc. Okay? That's why when you say, do we have something that already addresses, we do. It's called a building code. That's why we have a building code. We talk about, again, we're talking about how to allow this. Our task here is not to how to allow this. Our task is, do we vote to give them a year and a half or 2 years, the amendment time that planning has brought forth for us? Or do we say no to that and we adhere to what our building codes states as today, which is no camper can be used as a permanent dwelling? Okay? That's the only task we have. Now, we can go back to zoning and ask zoning and planning, do y'all want to look at this again? Do you want to amend it? And they can amend it and bring it back to the commissioners and say, hey, we want to amend this to say we're going to allow these circumstances, but we've already asked them, and this is what planning gave us to follow. We have to make the tough decision. Do we allow them the time? If we want to allow them time, you would vote yes. If you don't want to allow them the time, and you would vote no. That's the only decision that we really need to make at this point. And when we talk about how long they've had, this has been going on for several years now. This was a problem before we became commissioners. All of us new commissioners. What's going on then? And we still had people, when people knew this was an issue not allowed in Hamblen County, kept moving in campers, kept bringing in campers, putting multiple campers on lots, and they're waiting for us to enforce the rule so that they can quit. We have to enforce that rule. Unfortunately, that's what we need to vote on tonight. And that's what I'm asking each one of you commissioners to think about, vote on. Do we allow it or do we not allow them the time to stay in the camper?
I call for the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Richardson.
Call for the vote. Well said.
Call for the vote, please.
May I make a comment before you do?
No, I think we're ready for the vote.
All right.
You want to explain that again?
Yes, please.
A yes vote would mean you are allowing them the time as in the plan, okay? And I think the draft was
24 months.
24 months from the date we adopted. So if we pass it on this commission meeting in April, it would be 24 months from today, from that date, that we allow them to rectify, find alternate solutions. If you vote no, that means you do not want to give them the time and that they can start sending out notices tomorrow to people that are living in a camper. That's the best way for me to describe it.
Can I ask for a clarification, a teeny bit?
Yes.
Teeny bit. Let's suppose, okay, we do that. Let's suppose we vote no. So what will happen on Thursday?
Zoning can start going out and enforcing the rule at a $25 a day fine for anyone that lives in a camper.
You do mean after the commission meeting, right?
After the commission meeting, once it passes commission, they can go out if it passes commission as a no vote, they can start going out and finding people immediately.
All
A
right?
yes vote would mean we're gonna give them 24 months to rectify the problem.
Now tell me about 24 months and a day. What will that look like? So they have been given 24 months. Yeah, oh, okay.
After that 24th month and day, from when we adopt this and accept this, they can start enforcing that rule on the very next day.
Kyle?
Will be removed.
So we're not voting whether people can live in campers then?
No, we are not voting if people can live in campers.
Not one word.
We are voting if we are allowing them 2 years, or are we not gonna allow them 2 years?
But we could vote yes, and that'd give them 24 months, and then we make an amendment on it and see if they can get their campers in order by the new rules we're gonna adopt and go forward with that.
I love that.
Again, that would have to come from planning.
No, well, it'd end up coming through us.
Right, it would have to come from planning and then come
It'd end
to us.
up coming through us.
So if planning
There's
agrees,
people out here that living in campers that's in great shape, motor homes, great shape, hooked up to sewer, electric, water.
I call for the vote.
Okay,
Let's
who
go.
made the first, and we're gonna,
With a roll call.
Roll call.
well, we had a motion though, right, earlier, did we?
Debbie Ahern gave a motion. Did we get a second?
Yes, Richardson was the second.
Mike Richards.
Was you not, Mike?
No,
No.
Tim Horner was a
Tim,
motion.
Tim made the
And I
Horner
second.
and Debbie made the
Horner
second.
motion, Ahern second.
would you read that
One
motion
point of
again?
clarification, just really, really quick, and I'll be done. It's gonna be real quick. Our actual calendar says, and I quote, "Residing in RV campers vote." Doesn't say voting on given time to live in. It says residing in RV campers vote.
We are voting on
So we need,
how
we need
planning,
this to be put down so that we know exactly what's being voted on.
Amen.
That way, when I bring up the calendar for approval, then we have it exactly as stated.
Tim, would you make,
We don't now, do we, Thomas?
No,
could you
not
make,
what's
could we
written.
make an
don't have it
amendment to
now.
the motion?
Yes.
That we are accepting the draft proposed by planning on, RV campers?
That's what you made,
Number 5.
yeah. That's what he made.
That's what he
It's
made, yeah.
Draft version 5 of recreational vehicle camper tiny home regulations. That's what,
That may be the draft, but that's
Accept
not
it.
under what's said in the calendar. And that has to
needs to be
be,
corrected then.
He's right.
yes, that's why I'm wanting it to be what is being put forth. So that we know exactly what goes on the calendar, that way it's clear and concise.
Not by what you're saying.
That'll be next. That'll be after this vote. It'll be on your calendar and rules committee.
Be on calendar and rules, that, I don't think it will be, because it's not.
Clarification.
As what's on this
Needs
for the calendar.
clarification.
We can't make a change
We
after
can
it's been
amend
voted.
the motion.
To what?
Agree, Mr. Horner made a motion to accept the draft as printed. So that's on the table, and I agree with Thomas that I think,
Okay.
when you get to calendar and rules, that you amend that you've accepted or denied version 5.
Okay, what part of?
Well,
The draft,
according
because
to
all of
the
it.
calendar rules that's before you, you've got 2 parts of this.
And there's
The
4
first
parts,
part
and there's
is-
4 parts in this draft.
Right, so you may wanna recommend that you redo your calendar right there and adjust the calendar in your committee, that you accept version 5, or you can choose right now to separate them.
I'm asking to separate because it's already been separated,
Well,
so that we know what we're voting on.
It is because the prior meeting, I think Commissioner Walker had separated the two. He did not do that today. So it's back to one item right now unless it's committee.
It's still on multiple here.
Thomas, I got you. I'm just saying, you have that control as a committee to change that right now. When it
Okay.
comes to your calendar. Well, when it comes to calendar rules, you can amend that, that's what I'm saying. You can change that today, right now.
Have the calendar, once it gets voted, all I can do is get approval of what was voted from set committees. All I can do is get that approved to be on the calendar. I can't make changes to what was voted on in separate committees.
That's true.
And we're not allowed to do that. It must be done in the committee that is being spoken of prior to bringing up the RV study committee.
Maybe I'm confused, but that's what's happening right now.
What's happening is he's asking to vote on whether we give him 24 months or not. This also includes storage of campers. It also includes permanent placement of campers. It also includes just normal recreational use of
Let me
campers.
back up, make it simple. The motion was to accept the draft as version 5. This committee has
The
the
enti-
opportunity
the
to
entire-
accept or deny.
The entire, okay, just make it clear, because that's not what Mr. Walker said that we were voting on. We're voting on the entire thing, which is residing, storage, recreational use, and permanent placement. It's not just the one.
Yes.
Correct, it's the draft
Yeah,
version
the
5.
draft version.
All minds clear?
Shake your head.
It's not. Mud.
Debbie Ahern,
Yes.
Danny Bell,
Yes.
Thomas Doty,
As a whole, no.
Edna Green,
As a whole, no.
Dan Harville,
Yes.
Bobby Hahn,
Yes.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Peggy Howe,
No.
Rodney Long,
Yes.
Wayne Neesmith,
No.
Mike Reed,
Yes.
Mike Richardson,
Yes.
Kyle Walker,
Yes.
9, 4. Passes.
Motion passes 9-4.
Item 5, item of interest, no action necessary. Memorandum for County Mayor Chris Cutshall on referendum. And we could not do it on a referendum. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. We'll now move to the Calendar and Rules Committee, and I'll be calling on Chairman Thomas Doty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will call the Calendar and Rules Committee meeting to order. I would ask anyone that wishes to address this committee to step forward now. Seeing none. Old business, we have none. Item 4A, which is the review of the regular calendar items, and as discussed, item order 13, letter A and B will be removed, and it will be changed to letter A, which is approval of draft version 5 in its entirety of the proposal from the Planning Commission over the recreational vehicle, camper, and tiny home regulations. With that change, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Ahern. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Horner, thank you, sir. Any discussion on this? With that, hearing none, let's call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4B is review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ahern. With a motion and a second, do we have any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There being no items of interest, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. Before we conclude, I don't know how many of you, I know I saw a few of the commissioners out there at the ambulance out front. It wasn't an emergency. CMS was displaying the new stretchers that we had put money on, and they are absolutely phenomenal. One person can load a 700-pound, up to 700-pound person by himself. And they also got a chair that has tracks on it, and they will angle where they can strap someone in that chair and take them downstairs smoothly. So, I mean, it was really, really impressive, and they were very, very thankful for our contribution and cooperation with that. Thank everybody for your work, for your comments.
If I may, just really quick on the EMS and the ambulance, it's not only so that one person can, but it's also making it much safer on the patient, because there's much less chance of someone being dropped or anything during loading. It is a mechanical device that is rated for 700 pounds plus, so you don't have the human factor into making mistakes, and I think it's been a great benefit for our county and our community. And being as a first responder and someone that's dealt in emergency services for many, many years, I want to thank every member of the commission, myself, for approving this. That way we can help out our community.
Thank you, Mr. Doty. That was well said. Well appreciated. We stand adjourned. Thank you. You did good. You didn't say one word. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Can't you say, Tommy said.
Sorry, honey.
No, I don't, we wouldn't want to knock you over.
I'm sorry.
Shoot,
I didn't want to knock you over when I pushed the chair
You
back.
had, I'd buy him.
Hey, shoot, you
I'd
shoot
really-
up.
Take your book over, or you
Hey,
taking it?
shoot, you jump up and block.
Wayne, you taking your book over, or you taking it?
Camper.
Wayne.